What headwinds does the team expect in the real estate market in the next 6 months to a year? Cameron, yep.
Yeah. So as far as real estate market headwinds, I think that interest rates are such a big topic when it comes to talking about macro with real estate. It really dictates affordability. It dictates the supply and demand dynamics. So I think one of the headwinds is increasing supply for certain parts of the country. We've had high interest rates in our economy and high mortgage rates for close to 2 years now. So, as that extends out in time, there's less and less buyers in the market that can afford to sustain the mortgage at that rate. So I think, the supply has been building up slowly, and we're really starting to see it in 2024 in the country as a whole. Now, asterisk, different markets are going to behave very differently. So we're thinking, we tend to go to markets that are low cost of living but growing in population. And we think that's generally the recipe that's going to be leading to price appreciation. So in a macro sense, I think that supply is slowly building up, and that's going to be a headwind on prices overall. And maybe one non-intuitive factor of a headwind is actually interest rates coming down. So the reason why I say it's non-intuitive is because as interest rates come down, prices become more affordable in a sense. But that's just kind of a proxy for supply and demand. I think that there's been a lot of sellers who've been deferring selling their properties because what's called the interest rate lock effect. They may have a mortgage at 4%, and if they sold their home, the mortgage in most cases does not travel with them. There's some exceptions, but just assume that for the most part, people cannot transfer their mortgages from property to property. So when the interest rate's high, they're not going to sell their existing property and substitute into something that's more expensive. But as those rates come down, the rate differential is less and less pronounced. So that actually may increase supply in the market. So I don't think that it's going to drive prices down in any sense, but I do think that it creates this kind of like gridlock on the price, where as rates come down, things become more affordable. There's more buyers, but then there's also more supply in the market as well. So I think that's probably like the most major headwind to me, and probably followed secondarily by recessionary effects. We see weakening in employment levels. I think that people have different opinions on whether we've been in a recession or not, and like whether they trust the macroeconomic data and job reports and things like that. So it could be argued that we could be in a slight recession, and certainly you would expect that from 2 years of high interest rates to try to cool down the economy, because that's exactly why the Fed does it, is they try to cool an economy down when it's overheated, so prices come down and everything's a little bit more affordable for the average person. A consequence of cooling down the economy by lowering rates is softer employment, softer economic activity. So to the extent that we could see lingering recessionary effects, even as rates come down, that could be another headwind as well. And I would probably rank that as the second headwind behind just a general increase in supply for various reasons.